With us this morning to continue in this time of pulling the city together is none other than the governor of the great state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul. She is here and she will be coming to greet you. So would you stand all over the sanctuary? Put your hands together for Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning, Bethel Gospel. Yes, this indeed is the day the Lord has made. And yes, we have an excellent God who looked out for all of us and allowed us to open our eyes this very morning. And for that, we are always grateful. And I am grateful for the privilege of being here today. I want to thank Pastor Ruth Ann Winter for the hospitality she is showing me, make me feel so welcome and part of the family. Also want to recognize Pastor First Lady Brown is with us, and I'm sorry to miss Bishop Brown. We've met before, and I know he's carrying on important responsibilities. I know we have a First Lady. I also have a First Gentleman. You never had a First Gentleman in the state of New York. That is my husband, Bill Hochul. I also want to make sure that we keep a very good friend of mine in our prayers as she continues her recovery, and that is my great friend Inez Dickens. She has made sure I knew the needs of this community as we walk to senior centers and go to restaurants and small businesses and just talk to people. So she's been a great ally of mine, and Londell Davis here, who's another great friend of mine. I want to convey our love to her and thank all of you. You know, I come here a little bit with a heavy heart, though, because 1 week ago at this very moment, I was in my hometown of Buffalo consoling grieving families, and people were so stunned they could believe that their community, a tight-knit community that's my neighborhood, it's literally 10 minutes from my home where this massacre occurred. I live in the city of Buffalo. People were just reeling with such pain, and I was in True Bethel Baptist, and we just touched and healed and hugged. And so I'll never forget that, but I remember that the scripture tells us in Psalm 34:18, the Lord is near the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. And I was crushed in spirit, my community was crushed in spirit, but the Lord has brought us back with a renewed sense of responsibility and a desire to go forth, not just taken backwards with the pain and the memories, although we'll never forget those people and their families, but to try and find the path forward so this does not happen again. And that is what we must focus on in our communities, in our churches, in our streets, but also government has a responsibility. And so I left there after having the opportunity to welcome President Biden, who called me that very day and said, "What can I do for you, Kathy? Governor, we're good friends." I said, "Mr. President, I need you to come and hold this community in your arms. We've never had a more empathetic president who's had so much personal travesty himself." I knew he could convey the love that the community needed. So after President Biden was leaving, I said, we need to focus on not just the hate speech and the racism and the white supremacism that's festering in these dark parts of our internet, because now, Mr. President, it's starting to rise up. It's not alone down there, but we actually have members of Congress and people speaking on cable news about these replacement theories that somehow there's an intentional plan to replace the white people with blacks and Jews and immigrants, and that's so scary to some of these people. My God, this is America in 2022. It should not be fearful. This is who we are. We're proud of this. This is New York State. This is our diversity. It makes us stronger. It makes us great. This is who we are. And I take comfort in the fact that there's so many more all of us and allies who will speak out against this. And I stood in the pulpit last week and I called on pastors all over this nation. I said to the white pastors everywhere, I want you to stand up in your pulpits today and condemn this as well. And all of us have our voices that need to be lifted up. That is our responsibility. But also, what about what's happening on the internet? And our children are reading this. And you get young people left on their own during 2 years of isolation because of that pandemic that brought so many down. And the content that's out there, the manifestos, the description of other mass killings are absorbed by people like this 18-year-old. And what scares me is that he wrote that he targeted that zip code in Buffalo, New York, because it had the highest percentage of African Americans of anywhere within a drive of his home. Now, I looked at my MapQuest. Buffalo is about 3 hours from his home. Where we stand is 3 hours and 15 minutes from his home. That could have come to our community here. That sends chills down my spine. To know that, yes, that was a targeted community, we grieve for them, but we also have this anxiety now. It's in addition to the everyday stress of walking streets and taking our subways and going to schools and not sure who has a gun and who's going to use it. Are you going to get caught in the crossfire? Are we going to lose an 11-year-old in the Bronx to random gunshots or directed gunshots or targeted? It's too much for people. So you take that, the hate speech, the racism that's been there forever and now it's percolating up. You take the access to the weapons, and what a lethal combination we have before us today. So as your governor, I feel more empowered than ever before to take strong action and call for national response so someone can't buy a gun in New York State that meets our laws and then go over to Pennsylvania and bring back a magazine that should only be seen on a battlefield, but somehow they think our streets are now battlefields here in the United States of America. That's not the country we want to live in any longer. So we have to take back our streets. We have to stop the flow of guns from coming to Harlem, the Bronx, to Brooklyn, because they're in our streets, and I am even more committed to deploying my resources, working with Mayor Adams. We met about this yesterday, about what we can do working together to protect the people of our communities. That is my commitment, to make sure we continue using all the laws we have. If there's loopholes, I'll close those loopholes. I'll just close them. And we had an opportunity for people to have ghost guns. You ever hear of a ghost gun? Sounds kind of scary, doesn't it? Well, it is. It is, because you can buy the kit of a gun that you can assemble in your house and use it to slaughter somebody. I signed a law to ban those in the state of New York. They're now illegal. They're now illegal. Our red flag law, that people would just say, you can use this if you see a red flag that goes up. What does that mean? If you see someone who starts talking crazy talk, or you think they might have guns around them, you have an opportunity to use the authority of the law to have those guns removed from their houses. But it wasn't strong enough, and just this week I made it even stronger, and I have legislation. I need the legislature to help me to make it even stronger. One more thing I'm going to tell you. If you saw my press conference this week, there are still guns that the criminals are so clever at changing the composition of so they fit within our laws. The criminals always think they're a step ahead of us. Well, guess what, criminals? We caught up with you. You no longer can do that in the state of New York. And any other way you think you're going to get ahead of us, you're not, because we're doing this for the people of our communities. They've had enough. We're moving on. And we're going to focus on the good in people and how we can use the power of government, not just to deal with crime and hate speech, and we'll deal with that, but never forget that there's children in our neighborhood right here who just deserve the best education they possibly can. I was speaking with our pastors here about the power of education, how your mamas, both of you, made sure that you got that education and you rose up and could become educated and share that with your own families. The expectations that if you go to college, and if you don't go to college, you're getting training for a good job, because there's an awful lot of that. It doesn't always have to be a college degree, but make sure you're finishing high school. Make sure you have a good education in high school, and your zip code doesn't determine whether you're having a great education or an average education, okay? See what I'm saying here? We have to make sure that outstanding world-class education is available to all, but also health care. My God, what happened during this pandemic? We watched the numbers, and why was it the black and brown communities that were hit the hardest? What was going on there? I think there were far too many healthcare deserts. They weren't getting the quality of care. But also it said to me, a lot of people zoomed out of life and they could sit home in their basements, right? But most people in our communities here, they showed up to work. Who do you think was driving the buses that got the workers to the hospitals? Who do you think was making the food in the back kitchen so you could pick up the delivery on the curb so you didn't have to worry about where your dinner was coming from? Our frontline workers came out of our communities of color, and we have to recognize that they need opportunities to rise up and have higher incomes and more opportunities, so that does not have to always be the case. We have so much work to do, my friends. But as your governor, I could not be prouder to represent this community that I love and the state of New York. And I will continue to fight for you every single day because it's in my DNA. I came from a family in great, not severe poverty, but they didn't have a lot. My parents used to live in a trailer park. Okay, that's what they had. Until my dad had that key to open up a different future by getting a college degree while he worked at the steel plant. That lifted my family up, and I'll never forget that opportunity that my family had. And I want every single family to have that key unlocked for a better future for them, because I'm blessed to have had it. And because of that, I'm the governor of the state of New York. But every little baby born in Harlem should have that same opportunity. That is what I'm fighting for. Thank you, my friends. May God bless all of you, keep us in his arms, and I need you, and I need your prayers. So just continue to pray for me, and I thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today.